Welcome to our Devos. We are talking about Christianity and country. And whether you're in America, which most of the people listening to this are, or you're from a different country, there's rules, I should say guidelines, that the scriptures tell us to keep in mind concerning being citizens of earth and of nations, while at the same time being people whose names are etched into heaven, where we're truly citizens and ambassadors of heaven. We still have the responsibility to be living in this world with these nations. So I want to tell you today one of the important things to keep in mind. You have to obey the law unless it violates God's law. You have to obey the law unless it violates God's law. Now, how do I mean? Well, and this is a slippery slope because there are some people that will say, well, I don't like that certain people do this and they have this going on and this legislation represents something happening over here and I should just not even obey any laws because the laws were written by the godless. And I will tell you that there are lots of cop-outs for reasons why we try not to obey the law. Or people say, well, I'm not paying taxes because I can't pay taxes because the government is corrupt and it mismanages money. Now, my opinion is you want to pay what you are required to pay and no more. But we still are I've paid taxes every year of my life that I've been working, and most people have, and that is a part of the rule of the government of where we live, so you're honoring the government. But let's say the government explicitly says, hey, you have to go and work in an abortion clinic. You have to go there and sit there and perform an abortion. You can unequivocally say, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not able to do that. And if it means I'm put in jail, it means I'm put in jail. Now, Acts chapter 5, verse 29, Peter and the apostles were commanded that they should not preach the gospel. Spoiler alert, Jesus told them the last thing he said before he ascended was, hey, you got to preach the gospel. This is your deal. That's what the church is going to do. You are going to be the vehicle that I use to bring my message to the world. So they are sitting there and the government's like, hey, just so you know, we're going to beat you and arrest you if you mention the name of the dead carpenter / resurrected carpenter. You're not allowed to mention his name. And this is what Peter says. Peter and the apostles answered, we must obey God rather than men. I mean, he was really specific, Jesus, when it comes to the declaration that he wanted them to have with the gospel, because he actually told them, if you remember in the Great Commission, which areas to preach the gospel in. Started circular on the inside where they were in Jerusalem, and then it fanned all the way out to all the ends of the earth. Like they were commissioned literally to do the work of God. And then the government is like, it is illegal for you to do this thing that your master told you to do. So they said, we must defy. And of course, we know they suffer the consequences. Most of them, a lot of them, were martyred. They were publicly shamed, beaten. They lived in hiding. They had to deal with major amounts of fear, having to deal with people and interacting with them. But God blessed their obedience to him. So we are called to obey the law to the degree that we can unless we are explicitly told to do something that God explicitly told us not to do. And it's important that you recognize that distinction. Now, many times you'll think, oh, well, since I'm in a godless government, since we're a part of a godless government, and largely they're not honoring Christian values, I don't have to honor any of it. Well, then I would say to go read Daniel and read how Daniel was still honoring the king of his captivity. And only when the next king decreed that prayer be outlawed did Daniel defy. And when Daniel was told in the beginning of the book of Daniel, and Daniel's a good one to look at, when Daniel was told that he had to eat certain meats that were not kosher, so to speak, that went against the diet that he was used to, he asked permission to eat in a diet that would be more restrictive when it comes to the different meats that were used at that time. And again, you see this desire and this fine line being walked of submission to the government, but also a willingness to say, if the government is going to tell me to do something that is contrary to what God told me to do in his word, I'm saying that as a qualifier for you, Christian, then you must submit. But if they tell you to do something that is explicitly against God's word, then it's okay to disobey.